Shalom. And I want to start off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wachach, Wadesh. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and elders, great millstone. And salutations to you, Akim, us out there listening, pushing forth this word with truth and sincerity. And if you rock with as well, let's listen with sincerity. All right, today, just coming back to you guys to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, you know. And also, I'm the brother Machaya from the camp GMS Montreal. And it's the father that carries the seed. Okay? Your father is your progenitor, not your mother. Okay? Your mother is just an incubator of your of your father's seed. All right. So this, with that being said, there's no such thing as being mixed. You know, you're half this or half that. You are what your father is. Okay? Pertaining to the nation wise. Right? If your father's an Israelite, you're an Israelite. If your father's an Edomite, you're an Edomite. If your father's an Ishmaelite, you're an Ishmaelite. It doesn't matter if your mother's an Israelite or it doesn't really matter. All you take from that bond of you and your father is like most likely your mother's genes. You might have a similar, a more look to that of hers. That's the only thing. You get physical traits from your mother. Okay, outside of that, you know, in whatever nation that your mother is, it doesn't apply to you. Okay, let's start with this in the book of Numbers, the first chapter. We always get this. Okay, to break it down of how that you are of your father. Okay, this is Numbers 1 and verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. You see, so it was when the congregation was gathering up the male of the congregation to be counted. It said that every male declared their pedigrees, meaning what their lineage. Let's get that word pedigree. Okay, from what? The house of their fathers. It doesn't say their mothers. Okay, right? This is the word pedigree. It says Yalad, which I'm pretty sure Yalad means like child or something. I think the word Yalad goes into being a child too. Okay, Yalad. That's where you get I think it's the English that say that young lad, right? They call you a young lad, meaning lad comes from the word Yalad, okay, which is child. All right, so let's read this. This is the word Yalad. It was into pedigree, says to bear, bring forth, beget, gender, travail. To bear, bring forth of childbirth. So they declared their birth, what? By their father's land. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Let's go back. So that's what it goes into, man. Let's see what the etymology says for that word pedigree. Okay, pedigree. In the etymology online, it says genealogical table or chart. Okay, so your genealogical table or chart, meaning what? Your lineage. Okay, so it was declared by the house of the fathers, not the mother. Okay, because a lot of our forefathers, their mothers were some of them, they had mothers of heathen nations. Okay, grandmothers of heathen nations, great grandmothers of heathen nation. Okay, an example that comes to mind is King David. Okay, because what? His great grandmother, right, was Naomi. I said Naomi. Oh my God, Ruth. Tripping. Salaki. That was a slip of the tongue. Ruth, man. Okay, and Ruth was what? She was of the nation of Moab, the so-called Chinese today. Does that mean that David is a quarter Moab and 75% Israelite? No, he's fully pure breed Israelite, man. That's it. And it's not that hard to understand. It's because in this system, in this wicked rulership, Esau turns the things upside down. Okay, and saying, you're half this, half that. He has brought confusion on the world. But what? Here it is. We're here to take off the covering cast that's over all the people, man. Let's get that in Isaiah, I think 25 and verse 7. Okay. It says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, in the veil that is spread over all nations. Yeah. Esau, via his deception, his darkness that he's ruling with, he has deceived the people by giving them these false ideologies, these false doctrines, which that is a doctrine. Okay, claiming that you're half this and half that. All right, you're 50% white and half black. There's no such thing as half, man. Okay, and the mere fact as well that Esau has hidden the true biblical names of these nations. Telling us we're black, they're white. You know what I'm saying? No, every nation down here on earth, they're, they um they are a nation that's described within the Bible, which there's 18 nations within the Bible, man. You know what I'm saying? So here it is, our job, the prophets, is to what? To lift off that veil that's been spread over all nations, declare the truth, man. You know? And sometimes when I talk to people, when I ask their ethnicity or their background, they always bring that nonsense. Oh yeah, I'm half this and half that. And in my head, I'm just like, man, you're so stupid, you know? But it shows you, hey, because all of us were in that nonsense in the world too, man. You know? You know what I'm saying? You say you're half that, which, me, I never said that because, I'm purely Levi. You know what I'm saying? I just said, I'm Haitian or whatever. But, for the people that's mixed, be saying I'm half this, I'm half that, and then it will make sense to you. Because what? You are polluted by the world. Okay, oh yeah, why? You're 50 this and 50 that. That's cool, man. You know? Nah, man. It's just what your father is, that's what you are. Okay? And it makes sense. And that's why, hey, we got to understand that there's going to be people, there's going to be some of our people that's going to look like these other nations. Okay? You know? With knowing that you are what your father is, that's why it brings in how that our people will be scattered amongst all nations. Now when I ask somebody their background, if they answer me half, I will say, oh, but what about your father? You know what I'm saying? What about your father is? Oh, my father is this, okay, and then, okay, I kind of see. Now I can kind of gauge this person's spirit to see if they're a Jake or not. You try the spirit, okay? Because, Jake, we like heathen women, okay? I'm saying they're the best thing around right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the snow. I'm saying the Moab. you know, fuck the black bitch. Fuck our woman. The Southern Kingdom, hey, we straight. We straight. You can stand over there. You know what I'm saying? Right now, for now, in this go around. But in the kingdom, we will love our woman because they're gonna be the top woman on the earth, and that's a fact. But for now, hey, we're gonna put them by and deal with the females that's not dealing with these curses. Okay, you know, and the Northern Kingdom too. All right. But anyways, I want to get this as well in the book of Genesis, the sixth chapter and verse 2. It's not verse 1. I always love getting the scripture whenever, we're in the topic of how Jake likes the women of the other nation. This is Genesis 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men. Who are the sons of God? The Israelites. Okay, back then, that was a title, the sons of God. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The Adamites. That was a title, the sons of God. Okay, because there's three classifications of men. All right, there's the sons of God, which are the Israelites, the sons of men, the heathen nations, and the sons of the wicked, which are none other than Esau, Edom himself. Okay, so what? Us, we saw that the daughters of men, meaning what, the heathen nation, they were fair. Fair meaning what? Beautiful, fine things, shaped voluptuously, the curves in the right places, beautiful. And what did we do? And we took them wives of all which they chose. And they took them wives of all which they chose. That's what we did, man. You know what I'm saying? We saw something. We saw a woman that we liked. We took him and joined house with them. Yeah, made them join our house. You know what I'm saying? So this thing has been going on, man, since the beginning. So you mean to tell me now Jake is not gonna intermingle with these nations and lay with the woman and have children with them? Come on, man. Of course. Of course they will, man. You know? And that's why once again, where people are scattered everywhere. Okay? They may look differently, they may have the traits, physical traits of these other nations, but their spirit, the spirit that's within them, is that of an Israelite. Okay, their father, their great grandfather, if you trace it back far enough, you're gonna find out that it was a so-called black man, or it was a so-called Latino, so-called American Indian. Oh, it makes sense. That's why his spirit is like that. That's why I vibe with him. You know, because what? Birds. I mean, all flesh. Let's get that. All flesh will consort to his like. You know what I'm saying? There you go. Ecclesiasticus Sirach 13 and verse 16. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. And that's a fact. That's why you might see a group of people, a group of, let's say, so-called Israelites, not so-called, Salakia, a group of Israelites, I don't know, so-called black people, right? A group of black men. And then you see an Edomite in the midst, a so-called looking white person in the midst. And you see them vibing, you know? And you hear the conversation, the so-called white guy is speaking just like a nigga, dabbing up like a nigga, swag like a nigga, you know? Because what? He vibes with his people. You might speak to that white person, and then he might, you talk to him a little bit, he might say, oh, man, yeah, man, ever since I was little, man, I always been around these guys, I never really liked my people, they were weird, and then come to find out, oh, shit, this guy's a Jake, bro. I know if I trace his lineage far enough, his father's an Israelite, a so-called black man, or, or one of the other tribes, okay? Because once again, Jake is scattered everywhere, man. You are what your father is. That's the key ingredient, man. You know? And that's why also there's the parable of the wheat and the tares too. Okay? Because there's also so-called looking black people that's actually Esau or one of these heathen nations. Okay? The parable of the tares. A white man might have laid with a black woman, and then this child comes out light skinned, but this nigga is an Edomite. You know what I'm saying? And and if you talk to that person, for long enough, you're gonna find out, oh shit, this nigga's not a Jake. That nigga, he's a chocolate covered Edomite. You know? Yeah. So you are what your father is, man. And that's it. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. So yeah, man, I'm gonna close it off there by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wachech Chodesh. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Until next.